Overshotted pole rigs, the M rig, self-hooking rigs, call them whatever you want. They are so controversial, aren't they, at the minute? But unbelievably effective. And there's not a day that goes by where we don't see a comment or a post on Facebook, people getting on the keyboards and moaning about the old self-hooking rig. I'm going to call it the self-hooking rig because I know everyone, when I called it an overshotted rig the other week and Sam didn't have a float on, they're like, how can it be overshotted if it hasn't got a float on? Which is a great point. But I just feel like as an umbrella term, overshotted rigs, you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm going to look at self-hooking rigs. That's what I'm going to call it. Self-hooking rig, not a overshotted rig. Anyway, that rig that is so controversial, but undoubtedly massively effective. I'm going to keep feeding. I've just got the fish feeding, so I don't want to ruin it. Undoubtedly massively effective, and the anglers who've got it down to a fine art. Of course, we're talking about overshotted rigs. First gripe about the old overshotted rigs, and no, it's nothing to do with the method. It's the fact that fisheries that allow it make you put a float on. So you've got a float on the line that becomes irrelevant, and I don't understand that. Venues like Tunnel and stuff, you've got to have a float on, even though you can overshot it. Like, let the lads take the float off, then they don't break loads of floats that they don't even need. Anyway, first gripe over. Now, unusually for a fishery, oh, look at this wind. Unusually for a fishery, we seem to get more and more rules these days, don't we? But unusually, Shearsby are actually trying to get rid of all the rules, basically, apart from fish care ones. Anything that helps you catch fish and stuff, they're like getting rid of all of it. So, in the rare turn of events, overshotting, self-hooking rigs, no float rigs like I've got on today, are all fair game here now. And it has led me to think, well, I've got to get to grips with it, because I've got to be honest, I've never really done much of it before. Now, the anglers like Kristian Jones, Fishery, Kieran Marsden, you know, all the good ones have got this down to a fine art. Of course, we're talking about the overshotted rig, the M rig, if you want to call it that. I don't, because I don't like that word. But anyway, the overshotted rig, that's what we're going to call it. No, we're not. We're going to call it self-hooking, weren't we? Anyway, that rig. If you're an F1 angler now, and it's allowed, you've got to get to grips with it. You have to. It's the only way to compete, let's be honest. Like, I've always used floats and stuff like that, jiggers, because I've had to. On the venues I go to, you had to fish like with a float and stuff, but you don't anymore here. So I've got to get to grips with it, because without a doubt, this will take this venue apart this summer, and there'll be some massive weights caught on it. So I've come for a bit of a practice day. I thought I'd bring you along as well, and we're going to have a go at the old self-hooking rig. That's what we're going to call it, self-hooking rig. All I've got is some maggots. I have got some micros and stuff for doing other things later in the day, but we're going to fish shallow first. I'm going to talk you through the rigs quick, because, as I said, just quickly, obviously the term overshotting comes from the fact that people were using normal rigs, putting too much shot on it so the float would sink. But you don't have to have a float on here, so I haven't got floats on these rigs, which I actually think is it's probably, I can't see any advantage why you would want a float on your rig. I know Kristian that always have a float on, but I can't get my head around that, personally. There might be a reason for it, but apart from getting around the rules, then that might be it. But surely if you don't have to have a float on, then even better, and you don't here. So I thought I'd quickly show you the rig, what there is of it. Literally a length of line. I've got some orange zip on, and I've set 3 up to cover my depths. So I've got one set up at 18 inches, and that's just got a bulk of 4 number 10s. Now, it's quite windy today, and I've started with a bulk of 4 number 10s, but I think I might have to add more just to get some stability, because you're going to need, I'm sure you're going to need some stability when you don't know what's going on down there, do you? Because there's no float to read. So I'm making this up on the spot, so you're going to have to bear with me. I might have to put more shot on it. One thing that I noticed from all the like Kristian's videos and stuff like that, I've got a 6-inch hook length. That seems to be the done thing, so I've gone for that. And then I've got another one that's set at 2 foot. And then the only one that's slightly different is one that I've got set at 3 foot. Same hook length and everything, but this time, rather than just having one bulk of shot down here, which looked a bit ugly, I've got to be honest, I've put 2, like a double bulk. And I reckon if I could even put another one up here, and I just feel like that might just give me a bit more stability when I'm fishing a little bit deeper. So that's it. There's a lot of things actually on the peg that we need to look at in terms of tapping and flicking the rig and all that business. So I think we should get round and work it out together, because I've got, like I say, I've got no experience with this whatsoever. My only time I've ever actually done it is on other people's kit. when I've been out doing filming and stuff. I did one with Andy May a few years ago, and I've obviously seen all the videos and stuff like you guys have. So I've got a rough idea what I need to do. I'm sure we'll get to grips with it. But the thing that I can't get my head around is I've always read a float and reacted to the float going under and moved my float around to find the fish where they are. Obviously you can't do that with this, so that's the bit that I'm most confused around in my head, like how do I find the depth? And that's obviously where those anglers that I mentioned, Kristian, Chris Weeder, Kieran, Rob Swan, that's where they've got it tapped, because they know how to read the swim and feed different to get the fish at certain depths. So I'm actually quite excited. I've never done any of this fishing, like I say. I'm quite excited to see if it's good or not. Well, it is good, we know it's good, but actually, am I going to enjoy it? Because I do love seeing a float go under. But should this method be banned? Get in the comments below, should it be banned? Because a lot of people think it should be. I don't really like bans, and I feel like if anything like catches fish, then as long as it's not detrimental to the fish's health, which this isn't, yeah, I'm all for it. So yeah, let's get spin round and let's catch some fish, hopefully, because it is quite cold today. Despite the gorgeous sun we've got, it is quite cold. So let's get spun round and catch a load of fish, hopefully. Let's get going, eh? Now, I've picked a spot about 8 or 9 metres. In fact, I need to get a brew on, don't I? Yeah, picked a nice spot, nice distance. And we should catch plenty of fish. Now, the thing that I'm going to struggle with, like I said in my little intro waffle, I like to obviously watch my float and read where the fish are going to be at. But obviously with this, with no float on, can't really do that. So I have got a float rig set up as well, because I might have to go back to it. But to start with, I'm all in with this. So let's see if we can figure out. And already I feel like 4 number 10s is too light. So I'm going to put more shot on than that. So already I've made a change. I put 5 number 10s on. And this one's set exactly 2 foot deep because I've got it measured. And I've just got a 16 B911 and I'm going to put 2 maggots on it. Simple stuff. Now there's a lot of rudd in this lake. So I'll be interested to see if we avoid them with this actually. And the same rules apply. We spoke about shallow fishing obviously loads of times. If I can feed with a catty, I do prefer to do it with a catty rather than doing it by hand if I can. Slows me down, but most importantly, it keeps your bait nice and tight. Now, one thing I've noticed on all the videos is this little flicking motion that the top boys have got, which I assume is obviously keeping that hook bait moving in like a mini strike. Now, I catch loads of fish tapping where it's allowed, just literally the way I do it. I actually just bang my pole like that. I've caught loads doing that over the years. I don't see that, they don't seem to do that so much with this overshotting or self-hooking. They kind of flick it more. So I'll be interested to, as this session progresses, which works best. Already I'm confused. Like, I've not had, obviously, how do you work out how deep they are? Like, am I too deep? Am I not deep enough? I don't really know. Or do you just keep trying the rigs until you find them? Maybe it's that. So I'm just going with like a little flick to start. Oh, felt something then. Just going with like a little flick to start with. Nothing too elaborate. Obviously the advantage with this is you can fish it in reeds and stuff as well. Like if you've got an island with loads of cover on it, you can obviously fish right tight under the cover, which is one of the main advantages, I think. Especially in the spring, the fish do still like a bit of cover, don't they? But I'm confused already because I'm not. Oh, there we go. Oh, well, it didn't take too long. I was a bit confused there though. I don't know whether I'm too deep or too shallow or what. I guess that's like any method. That's the art of it, isn't it? Finding out where they are and working out how to feed them and how much shot to have down your rigs and stuff like that. Like I say, man, I keep calling it the overshotted because I think that is like I said, the sort of umbrella term for this method, because on so many venues you do have to have a float on even though you're overshot in it, which I don't understand that. Seems like a bit of a nonsense rule, that, to me. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, we got one. That is my first fish on a no float rig on my own kit at this venue since the rules have changed. And I think it's going to be key this year, actually, especially on this lake. This is Willow Lake at Shrewsbury Valley. There's a lot of F1s in this one. And I think it... Oh my God, that was a terrible feed. I think that it's going to be really important. I'd love to know what you think about it, because like me and Mick obviously talked about it on the Mixing Bowl podcast about it. And I think not as many people seem to want it banned as I thought, actually. I thought it was going to be a lot more people like, yeah, ban it, it's a terrible method. But actually, I think people who go to venues where it's allowed actually quite enjoy it. And that's the thing. Oh, there we go. That's the thing, what I think all these internet comments and stuff, I think a lot of them come from people who don't even go to them sort of venues. And I think just because, like the same with any method, there's really good people at it who've put a lot of time into something. Like I can already see, I'm confused because I haven't done it before, and I need to work out how to read the swim. And I've caught 2 fish, so I'm quite happy at that 2 foot. But there's bound to be little ways that I'm missing out on, or things I'm not seeing, because I just don't know. And I tend to find, like, places where it's allowed, people really enjoy it. So yeah, catches fish, doesn't it? So let's crack on with this. And now I think I'm getting into a bit of a routine with the old tapping. I've not got to grips with the old flickaroonie yet. Might be a better way to do that. Or I might... I can't... Obviously I've had 2 fish, but I think both have come just tapping, really. That's obviously the art of it, isn't it? It's working out how often to do all that business. Because you've got to imagine your hook bait's suspended, then you're flicking it up and presenting it again. Every time you flick the pole tip, really, that hook bait's going to flutter back through the water. So you can see why it's so deadly. Now this wind's a bit of a pain. In fact, it's an horrible wind. It's right across me. Oh no, Bob Nudd. Little Bob Nudd, who invited him to the party. Now, I'm actually going to try a bit deeper. I'm going to pick the next rig up with that little double bulk that we showed you, and try that. Because I've only just started, so they could be a bit deeper. So that's set at 3 foot, that one. It's probably 6 foot deep this late. It looks good, that, with a couple of bulks on it. I reckon you could probably put another one on it. It's certainly the presentation I haven't got to grips with, and I definitely haven't got to grips with how to the flick. I've not got to grips with that at all. I think I'm doing it too much, as in too aggressive. It's quite hard in the wind, actually. And this, of course, is the thing that, you know, the lads who are good at it have sorted, haven't they? They've got it sussed. Like, because I'm deeper, do I need to slow it down? Maybe. You know, because obviously I've got to wait for them shot and my hook bait to settle, so maybe I don't need to flick as much when I'm fishing deeper. Smaller fish. It's often the case, isn't it, when you go deeper? You do get more bites, but you often get little small ones. And big girls love to be right up near the top, you know. Often, especially on this lake, you catch them really shallow. Interesting, isn't it? there's obviously loads to it. Way more than I think probably a lot of people give credit for. Because, well, the same anglers win, don't they? And them anglers who win it would win with a float on as well, by the way. Because they're good at shallow fishing and good at feeding and working the peg and working out what's going on. Oh, I felt something then. Obviously I'm on that deeper rig. I'm just slowing it down. I still feel like I need to keep it moving. But again, maybe I need more shot down my line. Fishing, you know, a bit deeper. That wind is quite strong, there we go. So I've definitely slowed the tapping down because I'm fishing a bit deeper, which in my head makes sense because, as I said, I feel like it's giving my rig chance to get to the bottom of the fall before I flick again, whereas I was doing it too much before. Look at me, lovely landing net, by the way. My deadpan. Now, something I kept asking Mick for since I joined. I love the latex hair mesh. They're so hard wearing and stuff, but that soft mesh, when you're catching fish of that sort of size, 2 pound fish, but particularly when you're catching carp, I find that soft mesh really good. It like cuddles the carp. So when you're up on them lakes up there, even though you've got a small net on, it like cradles them really well. And because the mesh is nice and soft on the fish, they just sit there and you can hook them dead quick and get them in your keep net. People think that's nonsense, but when you've trust me, when you tried one of them or that style of net, even though they're a bit slower through the water, they're just a joy to use. Make unhooking the fish so much easier for me, anyway. And actually, one of our friends of the brand, Dave Warren, he tried one and he couldn't believe like the difference it made for him. So, yeah, give him a go. Really good. Obviously, the other good effect is if you are banding or quick stopping or whatever, they don't get caught in there as well. So, number of advantages. Just obviously have to put up with the fact that you're not scooping as much of them. Right, so we're slowing it down. Am I doing it too? Is it like me? I'm just gonna have a little tap. Obviously, the only thing with just normal tapping, like that's how I would. Oh, there we go. See, that's how I would fish normally, just tapping like that on the surface. But obviously, with that, you're not getting that little jerk of your pole tip that's bringing your hook bait up and down. You're not getting that as much. But I do think the F1s really do like that little constant rattle on the surface. I've caught loads on that over the years. Oh, look at him. He's a bit of a fatty. Nice fish. Look at that landing there, it's gorgeous, isn't it? This is good, I'm enjoying this. It's nice, isn't it, when you're working on new things? Yeah, it's nice, isn't it, when you're working on new tactics and stuff. I really like it. Especially something like this, because like I say, I don't know anything about it other than what I've seen in videos and stuff. And that's one of the things, isn't it? It's good, isn't it, when I take it for granted, obviously, because I work in media and stuff. I see a lot of it, but none of the people I sort of knock around have really fished like this. So I've only heard like bits of what Sam Collins told me actually when we've been out and about, because he does quite a lot of it at Tunnel Barn. I've gone back to the old flickeroony. But that last one obviously came just on a steady tap. Oh, there we go. On a flick. I mean, whether you like it or not, it's bloody effective, isn't it? Like, it's not an easy day today. It's been cold, and it's not what you. If I was fishing a match, I probably wouldn't be shallow fishing today. To be honest, I'd be fishing probably meat shore or pellets in the edge, probably. But I mean, you can't knock this, can you? I've had a fish every chuck in. How can you knock it? just double mag it. I quite like this. Quite like the deeper rig, I've got to say. Of course, it's the time of year thing. I'm going to put more shot on it though and see if that makes a difference. Just to give me a bit more stability, perhaps. Just get out there. I'm enjoying it. It's probably not for everyone, this, but it works. There's no doubt about that. And if it is allowed on your fishery, you've kind of got to do it if you want to compete. Certainly shallow fishing, because it makes a big difference. Now, this is the only thing, and I always used to find this when I was jigger fishing. This is when I struggle. When I go in and I haven't had a bite straight away or pretty quick, I often like, right, do I need to change now? Like, do I need to come up now? Or would I be better off deeper? That's the bit that I struggle with this type of fishing, because with a float, obviously, I'd be reading and reacting to what was going on indications-wise on my float. And this is the key to it, I think, having done it now. Reading that, do I just keep going now, or is it just me I'm tapping too much? I don't know. Let's keep going for a minute and see. Or do I need to be on a different rig now? See, look, that was just a normal tap. And 2 times I've gone to that, I've caught fish straight away, so that's something to think about. Lovely to catch shallow, isn't it? It's my first shallow fishing session of the year. Not particularly big fish, but like I said, I do feel like that's often the case when you're fishing a little bit deeper. Let's try that again though, the old rhythmic tap, I'm going to call it, rather than the flick. Because that's worked both times we've done it. Get through some bait doing this. I've got a normal float, a little tink set up. I'm going to put that on in a minute. Just a normal tap this time. It is one thing that is noticeable is obviously the ripple at this time of year is really key, because water is, when you put your pole tip under, you can actually see it quite a good. That was on the cliff. You can see the pole tip down, so it is still, even though it looks quite muddy in the edge, it's actually quite clear still. So that ripple is so important, isn't it, at this time of year? I'm enjoying this. How can you not? I'm catching loads of fish. And yes, I would prefer to see a float go under. I'm just being honest. I would prefer fishing out there with a float on. But rules are rules, or lack of rules is rules. And if I want to compete shallow fishing here this year, I'm going to have to get my head around this. And it's just something else to get your head around, isn't it? So that's always a good thing. I think from a purely enjoyable point of view, I would prefer to see a float going under, of course. But I'm not enjoying myself doing it. I'm catching fish at the end of the day. And that's still nice, isn't it? Like when you get your thing right and your elastic comes pouring out. And let's be honest, we've just been trying to come up with ways to get around the rules anyway and get the fish to hook themselves, like with shorter and shorter lines or jiggers or whatever. So it's all the same, isn't it? It's just different ways of doing it. Ripple's back on. I must say I learned, well, obviously fishing for the Dren and Barnsley Blacks, do get a lot of help and information. And when we were practicing for the Commercial National last year, it didn't actually play a part in the event because it was tightly pegged and stuff. But in the lead up to it, young Rob Swan was helping us out a lot. So he did give me quite a lot of information and think the speed of the old flickeroony seems to be quite a key factor from what I can see here. I'm no good at this, but I'm catching a fish every chuck in, so it's all right, isn't it? It's working. And if I was, you know, just starting out shallow fishing, I'd be like, yeah, I'm on this. This is great. I think we could get away with more shot. I'm going to put more shot on it just for, obviously we're learning together. And I think having more shot down the line will be helpful here. I remember when it first sort of happened, and I used to fish, oh, it's getting good now. I used to fish up at the Oaks at Sesse, and I'm talking, this is 20 years ago. And Andy Quarmby, who's a fantastic angler, an absolute machine to be fair, he was catching really well at the Oaks. And this, I'm not exaggerating, this is 20 years ago at least, because I would have been 18 and I'm 38 this year, so certainly getting on for 20 years ago. 15 years ago at the very least. And he was catching loads of fish on essentially this. And yeah, when you think about it, way ahead of his time. And I remember actually, Gaz Malman of Malman Floats fame had a little run up there, putting a BB shot on. He might have even been putting a AAA on, you know. I remember it. And he was doing really well with that as well. And this was like I say, a long, this is before, long before its sort of current craze. So it's not necessarily anything new, but the lads who've got it down to fine art now have done exactly that. They've just mastered it. Fair play to them. Anyone who puts time into something deserves all the success they get. And those lads who were so hard to beat at this have put the time in and worked it out. I put more shot on and I immediately felt that was better. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yep. Oh, I thought my hook would come off now. I felt more in control there. Before, when I was flicking it, I could see me line on the surface. I can't now. I just, for anyone who's interested, I put another number 10 on each of my two bulks. Obviously we lost the fish, but I think that was bad angling on my part, not necessarily the... that wasn't the rig's fault. We'll try shallow again in a minute, like as in more up. Yeah, I'm enjoying this. So you're going to have to get to grips with it, because it's going to be an important method on here this year. And I've promised myself more matches on here this year. I only came on 2 last year. I did win both of them, but I've promised myself a bit more time here this year, because it's such good fishing. But you know, it's like sometimes you don't see what's right in front of you, do you? I wonder if it's a bigger flick that I need to do. Like that. Or is it just because it's gone calm? Or is it because I put them more shot on? All these questions. Of course, one thing I noticed from watching videos, if they want to go deeper, they just put the pole low down. Yeah, look, I just put the poles low down and went a bit deeper. Unbelievable. Right, I'm going to go a bit shallower. Even though the signs are pointing that the fish have gone down a bit, I just want to finish the video by going... Should we go shallower? Yeah, let's go shallower. 2 foot. 5 number 10s on that one. Just a simple bulk. See, I do wonder if you need a bulk or whether you should be stringing them out. But I think probably a bulk's right, isn't it? So we're taking a foot off, we're a foot up, and you do need obviously different rigs really. That's one thing, you do need a few different rigs, but you would anyway if you were normal shallow fishing. It's gone calm now, which I don't think is great for this, or any shallow fishing. That's the bit I don't feel I've got anything like sussed yet. The flick. I don't know whether my flick's too flicky or whether I'm not flicking enough. That's the bit. Am I flicking too often? Am I not flicking enough? I do think them fish are lower down though. It's so bright now. So maybe this is the wrong rig. Oh, we got one there. That's what you've got to do, innit, with this. You've got to put your catapult in your mouth, because that's what the shallow anglers do now, innit? Put the catapult in the mouth, because that's cool. Prefer not to get some maggot-borne disease, to be perfectly honest with you. Look at that. Beautiful fish, aren't they? Like, lovely stamp. I've been doing videos on this lake for a couple of years now, shallow fishing and stuff. And I remember the first one I ever did shallow fishing was over there, and they were dead little. Then obviously I did my pace shallow ones and stuff, which was around the time I held the record on this lake. But that's been way blown away now. There'll be some 300-pound weights on here this year, because they're all, you know, they're £1.50 now average. Dan was telling me that I think it's 30 fish to fill a net now with a £65 limit. You know, 30 fish will get you 50 odd pound, and an odd carp thrown in as well. So really interesting how they've grown. I do like obviously F1s when they get up to that sort of £2 mark. They're great fish, aren't they? They're a bit annoying, aren't they, when they're little, but when they get big, I love them. Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? It's brilliant. I'm going to put a float on just to compare, but this is brilliant, isn't it? How can you knock it? And the fact that you don't have to have a float on here is brilliant, because your rigs are really cheap. Just a piece of line with some shot on it. I mean, how simple can you get? Don't get any tangles or anything. Look at them beauties. Let's put a float on and see the difference. Because the truth is, there's still a time and a place for a float, you know. It's not... I was thinking spring, when the fish are still a bit cute. Sometimes I don't like the pole on the reds, do they? And I mean, we've caught fish every chuck in with that, so I don't think today's necessarily that day. But you know, there is a time and a place when you fish in certain venues, when there's a lot of anglers on. Having the option, having both set up, is probably a good thing. I've just got a lovely little float on there, like a little Tinks float, which I love for this kind of fishing. And I've just got a back shot above it, like 4 inches above it. So the only disadvantage of having such a long line like this is you can't tap, obviously. But that might not be so important. No indications, interestingly. Oh, yeah. But one indication, one missed bite. That's the difference, isn't it? Got one though. Dare I say it? We missed a bite. Well, I ought to fish a little bit quicker with that long line. This is what I mean. It's not, of course, that self-hooking arrangement is unbeatable, particularly in the spring. It's not always the best way, because you're not, let's not forget, at this time of year, you're not often just absolutely slaying them, are you? You get little runs, and I think combining the two types of attack together is probably the way. I'm sure that Kristian and anglers of that calibre know all that, and they're probably doing all that as well, you know, doing both, and it's knowing when to work between the rigs that's the key, isn't it? Yeah, you're going to miss more bites on this, but having the pole away from them might be better anyway. You just need to, again, find where they are though. Great fishing though, isn't it? Regardless whether you've got a float on or not. So we've missed 3 bites here, so, which is frustrating. Another one. Take some depth off. I'm just going to take 2 inches of depth off. And move my back shots down. So I'm actually much shallower than I was on the self-hooker, which is interesting. But obviously we've got the pole away from them now, so could be why. I took too much depth off. Probably it was not far away from the correct depth there. Looking at this. See, this is the problem though, isn't it? This is why that self-hooking is so effective, isn't it? Because, yeah, we caught them straight away, but then we're missing bites again, so. You just can't argue with it, can you? How effective it is. Too shallow now, aren't I? That's the only thing I do like about having a float. You can obviously, you can read it a bit better, as in respond to your indications. I think you can do that, but I think even with that self-hooking rig though, you would get to grips with that in no time, I think. But yeah, the efficiency's gone through the floor really. Compared to that, it's not. You can't even compare the two. You can't. And I want this to be better because that's how I like to fish like this. But can't argue with the facts, can you? And the efficiency's gone now. Interesting, not getting anywhere near as many indications as what I was expecting. I thought, well, I'll put this on, it'd be up and down like a yo-yo, but the fish are obviously a bit deeper. They're obviously quite a bit deeper than where we're actually fishing there. Like that. Which was my, you know, that's what I thought, wasn't it? I thought that 3 foot depth was better when I was fishing that deeper self-hooking rig. That's kind of what my inkling was, that's where they were, a bit deeper. So it is nice to see with a float on that. Where's my float sinking? To admit, when I'm fishing with a float, I always like to not overshot them, but have it almost like critical, and then put blobs of grease on, so that the slightest little indication you get a bite, and I just think that reduces resistance and makes for a better setup. But tell you what, this could be a sad day for me, this. Only because I can see straight away that If I'm coming here, I know exactly what I'm doing, and it ain't with a float on, let me tell you. I'm doing this. See if we catch one straight away. It's really bright now, so I will say that. And although we've caught loads of fish, it's not like, this is going to sound ridiculous, it's not absolutely solid. Like even this is not like easy, is it? So yeah, I'm going to be a bit more lenient on the old float rig actually, because it's not like this is easy. But ripples come back now, so we should get one to finish on. I'm really excited to actually get on some matches and do this though, because even on the lake at the front, sunset, it'd be deadly on there. See the fish, they've gone, haven't they? They're not there like they were. So that is interesting. Hey, that took a lot of catching, that one. So maybe I was being a bit too harsh on the old float rig because you weren't exactly lightning quick with this. But yeah, I've enjoyed that actually. Yeah, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot more to it than I naively... I'm not foolish enough to just write something off as like, oh, that's easy. Because I've known it with like the method feeder and stuff. You know, your anglers like Finn and that, they catch more for a reason, don't they? They're doing it better than we all are, us mortals. And it's the same with this. There's a reason Chris Weeder and Kristian and Kieran Marsden and Rob Swan and anglers like that catch more. It's because they've got it worked out, and I've got a long way to go with this. So yeah, really enjoyed that. It's deadly, isn't it? It works, it's fantastic. If you've got rules that allow you to fish like this, I think you've kind of got to do it. Still would prefer to watch a float though.